Hello, everybody. Welcome to Long Tracks and Tall Tales. This is the first episode we're doing. I'm Scott G. Davis of Myth of Logic, and with me today is Mr. Chris Clark. Hey, Chris, how's it
Hello.
going?
It's going great. How are you, Scott?
I'm real fine. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood.
It sure is. Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
um, the goal for us doing this is we have become good friends. I think.
Oh
I
yeah,
hope
I
so.
agree.
Anyway, and
Get on like a house on fire.
we have the most wonderful conversations about not just music, but all kinds of other stuff. And we thought maybe we'd start recording a few of them with things that we feel strongly about. Today, on this initial show, we are going to talk about the Rush 50 something tour that's coming up this year and next. I don't have a Rush shirt, a proper one anymore. I
I
got to
do.
fix
I have
that.
about 80 of them. I have too many Rush shirts. Although I don't know that you can have too many Rush shirts. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. So it's an exciting time. They just announced European and South American dates. It's a big tour. It's
It sure
starting to
is.
look as though it might be the most extensive tour that they've done in their history. So it's a very
Sure is.
exciting time to be a Rush fan. And Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. It's called the Rush 50 something tour. It starts, I believe, June 7th, where it ended with Neil at the Forum in Los Angeles. Then it traverses its way through the United States with one date, I believe, jumping down into Mexico to Mexico City. From there, it comes back up and it's in my area in Texas, not where I live. I live in Odessa. They're not coming to Odessa. They're coming, the closest they're coming to me, I believe, is Fort Worth. And that is where I am going to go see them. They are playing at most cities now 4 nights at every venue. That is a very interesting and strange way of doing it, but I'll tell you why they're doing it here in a second. They're playing those venues like 4 nights, kind of like mini residencies at each of these places. It goes all the way through, I think, till December. The tour starts in June and goes all the way to December. And then I was of the impression that they were going to do that and then take themselves a little breather. And then I think they're thinking about doing some new music. However, that's going to be put on hold because I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago they announced that they are going to South America and back to the UK in early 27. They start in January, I believe, in Brazil. I
Hmm.
think it is. It's either Brazil or Argentina. It's one of those two. It's down there in South America, and then they're heading over to the UK, Europe, and that area. So they're going to be really busy. And anyone who is a Rush fan knows they're going to be really busy with a new drummer,
Yes.
the magnificent Annika Niles. She is just.
Yeah.
I knew who she was before she was even announced as Rush's drummer because being a drummer as I am, I follow fantastic drummers, and she is one of them. I remember it has to have been a year ago, maybe even longer than that. I saw a video of her, and I didn't even know that she had toured with Jeff Beck. But I just saw the video, and I just saw how I think I came across it, and she was playing and it was muted, but I was fascinated with her flow. She just, like, you can tell some people, they're playing the drums and you can tell they're not flowing. She was. So it made me uh take it off mute, and my god, she is fantastic. And so they chose her, and we can get into the specifics. I know the specifics, and I'm sure you probably do too, of how they chose her and why they even got on the radar. She got on the radar in the first place. But they're doing that, and then I think they're gonna talk about doing some new music. And yeah, I as a Rush fan, and I don't know if anyone can tell, this is all Neil right here. That's Neil. That's Neil. Those are Neil's sticks from Red Rocks. Neil's my hero. So I've had a lot of people asking me, "Are how do you feel about this tour? I mean, how do you feel about them being Rush without Neil? Is it really Rush without Neil?" And I have some very specific thoughts on it, and I'm sure you do too, Scott. So
Well, yeah, it's there was a few moments. probably more like a few days when it was first announced. And it's hard for me because without going into a lot of details about my history with Rush, I've been a fan since not the very beginning. I came in around Farewell to Kings times,
Mm.
and got All the World's a Stage. And what happened was I borrowed Farewell to Kings from a friend up the street, and he never got it back. And that was I was coming out of what I like to call my Kiss void, where I was lost in that world and nothing else. And once I kind of got over that phase, I returned to the prog that I had loved before. And Rush was a wonderful bridge. I always like to tell people Kiss was the band that made me want to play, and Rush was the band that made me want to play well.
Oh, that's a really
So
good. Yeah, I can see
that
that.
was the progression as a young kid. But
Pretty amazing that your introduction to them was a friend, and so was mine. But
yeah,
I wasn't even born when they began. My introduction to them is way later than yours. My introduction to them was in the late 80s, early 90s with Presto.
mm-hmm.
And it's actually people who've ever heard me, I do some stuff with Progzilla. People who've ever heard my story, it's a really fascinating story. I was getting out of my friend's car and I kicked a tape out onto the curb at my house, and it was Presto. And I picked it up and I was like, what is this? And he's my friend. His name is Eric Conley, still one of my best friends to this day. And he was like, you've never heard Rush? And I was like, no, I don't think so. He goes, why don't you just go take that in your house right now and put it down and see what you think about it. And that night, my world changed. I didn't sleep. I must have listened to that thing 6 times over the course of the night, and my world as it relates to music was changed forever. So pretty interesting. And oh, by the way, he didn't get it back either. He didn't get the press. He didn't get this. I kept that thing until I went and finally bought my own copy. But yeah, pretty interesting that we kind of through different albums, but through the same type of medium.
Well, I think Rush fandom in general is littered with different entry points because Rush has been arguably, I would say, at least 4 completely different bands throughout their career. So it seems natural that sort of things like that should happen, and did happen and still happen.
And not just for complete bands in the way they played, but also but different lineups, which falls into one of my arguments of why I'm just fine with Annika Niles being their new drummer. Then some people are really not, and we're going to talk about that.
But, yeah, when I first heard the news, I was initially a little upset, to be honest with you. But after breathing and thinking about it for a little while, I saw the band 21 times with Neil over the years, in various tours and various times. Mm-hmm. And there's that started to calm me a little bit. When you were the age I was when we were obsessed with Rush, my first band was called Hydra, and we played over 20 Rush songs, among other things, Styx, The Police, The Babies, The Tubes. We played all this different stuff, but our primary stuff was Rush. We didn't look up to those guys just as musicians. We also looked up to them in particular as people, their qualities of loyalty and doing the right thing and not getting attention for it, things like that. They became role models for us. So what I'm getting to by saying all of this is that I don't know Alex and Geddy, and I didn't know Neil. I don't know them personally. I know them only through their work and how it's made me feel and how it's helped me to shape my life, trying to walk straight as a man. So there's a little bit of that. You feel like you know these people, but you really don't. Mm-hmm. But after I took a pause and thought about it, I thought, this is Geddy and Alex. They can do whatever in the hell they want to do, and it's okay. And I will support them wholeheartedly as much as I possibly am able to. They have earned the right to either tour or not tour. And anyone who's a naysayer on that level should probably hold their tongue, because you reveal yourself as a fool. I've seen some negatives fired in particular at Annika, and I want to go on record as saying I think it's totally unjustified and a little bit what my mother might have called pig ignorant. It's it really is incensing when people get upset about just surface issues. Let's imagine for a moment that Neil isn't dead. Let's imagine that Neil instead had a car accident and lost the use of his legs.
Mhm.
He's still alive. Neil would be the first one. He would be the first one to support this and support her, and he would be excited as hell about this. He
Mhm.
would be sitting side stage in his wheelchair cheering those guys on. You know he would.
I do.
And
I
because
do know he would.
because of the personal currency that Getty and Alex have built up in me, in my heart, and also because I know that Neil would approve. I know he would. Because of all of those things, I am happy about this. I'm happy it's happening. I know many people who never got to see the band who
Mhm.
are big fans now and are excited for that opportunity. So there's a lot of positives to take away from this, and it really, it kind of, it consternates me a bit when people only want to focus on negatives. You know, I can speak from a place of having seen the band numerous times over the
Mhm.
years.
So can I.
I got mine, you know. I can be a little bit more cavalier about it, but those people that never saw them, I want for them to have that chance if they want it. So in general, I'm quite excited about it. Not
So am I, and I'll kind of echo some of the things you said. I saw them 23 times. So you and I, we have the luxury, and it is a luxury, of being able to go, well, we saw them as the Holy Triumvirate. We saw the three of them together, and we are blessed to have been able to do that. Um, I don't. I'm first of all, I'm just going to co-sign everything you said. I absolutely agree that Neil, he heck, it wouldn't have even had to have been a car accident. He was ready to retire. He could be alive and well on a farm right now, and if they wanted to do this without him, he would have given them his blessing
He
because
probably would have pushed him to do it.
probably it's not about him, it's about them, and he knows that, and he knew that, and he wouldn't harbor any ill will whatsoever on this. You know, he that's why he went on the last tour, was he knew how much it meant to them. He didn't want to
Yeah.
do the last tour when he did
No,
it.
you know about the Tourette's incident.
I do. Yeah,
That's a
well,
very
I've heard that whole
that's
thing.
a funny story. It
It's a
really is
great
funny.
story. He spent a night in a hotel room saying everything. God, son of a
Damn life,
and then
damn it,
and then
damn it.
gosh dang it, Alex. And then he turns around the next day and goes, all right, I'm in because
Here
you
we go.
because y'all need it. That's who he
Yeah.
was.
Yep.
And so he would not have a problem with this. And as further evidence of that, his family has been widely supportive and vocally supportive of it. And
Yeah.
they know what he would have
Mhm.
wanted and not wanted. And he would be just fine with this. Second, I don't give a crap what people say. Annika Niles is a phenomenal drummer, and she is a perfect replacement.
Neil
Um,
would love it. Neil would absolutely. I
He'd
think
think
he would
it's
love her.
awesome. He'd think it's awesome. And I
Yeah.
can tell you from having read interviews about her, she is very, very respectful of Neil's parts. She has said, there are things I'm going to have to play just exactly like Neil, and I'm going to, because
Mhm.
his parts, and I told you this off screen, but I'm going to say this because this was brilliant. She said, what you have to realize is that Neil Peart's parts are compositions within a composition. His drum parts are crafted composition pieces. They are not just filler, they are not just the beat. They are meant to be what they are. And I can tell you from playing that, when my two, I play a bunch of Rush, but the two that I play pretty regularly with a band I play with here are Tom Sawyer and Natural Science.
Mhm.
Those two songs, you have to play those pretty much exactly the way Neil wrote them. Or it's, if you don't play Tom Sawyer like Tom Sawyer, it's not Tom Sawyer. It's
Yeah.
not. The drum
Yeah.
part is very, very important to play it exactly like he played it. A little bit of leeway, tiny little bit of leeway in Natural Science, but it's pretty much the same thing. He has very specific moments where he does very specific things, and you have to do them just like that, or you're going to ruin the flow and the way it sounds. And then he was like that in later years in his life. He got where he was a little more improvisational and a little less anchored to a specific piece that he played over and over again, but he always still had it there. And you would know that because, as you saw, he would play it live just like he played it on the record, because it was a piece that was designed that way. You know, I remember reading an article about him one time. The song off of Counterparts, "The Speed of Love," he took 2 weeks to develop that part for "Speed of Love," because that's what he did. I'm writing a piece. I'm not just throwing a beat on a song. I'm writing a piece. So Annika knows that, and she's very, very conscious of it, and she's going to do it service. And I'm going to tell you, the proof's going to be in the pudding. When you go to the shows, you're going to see. She's going to nail it. I can. There will be times, and she has said this also, if there's a little room for some of her own flair, she'll add her own flair. Good. You should. You're not Neil. You know, no one's Neil. Neil was Neil.
Yeah.
No one else is. So
Neil would encourage her to add herself.
Yeah, he would. He'd say, "Make it yours. Make it your own. Do what I do. If it's like important to the song, don't alter fills that everyone knows and air drums to. Don't alter those. But if there are spots in the song where you can add your flair, add it." So that's one thing that I love. The second thing is, I agree with you 1,000%. They have earned the right to do this. They have a career that is just astounding. They don't owe anything to anyone, and they don't have to explain anything to anyone. And I tell you, I must be living in La La Land or not be on the same pages as you, because you said you saw some pretty negative things about Annika. I really haven't seen anything negative. What I have seen is people who are like, "I'm not going to see him because it's not Rush without Neil." And to me, if that's how you feel, okay, fine. If that's your thought process, I'm sorry for you, because you're going to miss out on just an amazing tour.
Being a fan all these years, I can see that opinion, and for about 24 hours, I had that opinion.
Sure.
You know, I will freely admit that, but that's not the right way to. Rush has always been a forward-thinking band, always evolving, and more so than I think any band that you can think of. Rush has constantly. Well, Neil liked to think of them as a mirror moving down the road. They would, around the Signals period. Here's a great example. When we were huge fans, my friend Duff Toole and I, the guitar player in my band and keyboard player, he and I went to see them on the Signals tour. And in those days, there was no internet. There was no spoiling the show. You went in completely blind. You didn't know what they were going to play. You didn't know what they were going to wear or look like.
Right.
And Alex came walking out looking like somebody from Duran Duran. He had cut his hair and it was all swept to one side.
Yeah.
And he had
that has to have been the Grace Under Pressure tour that time in that area.
No, this was the Signals tour.
Oh, Signals. So
it was the Signals tour. And that's a great example. Those guys were never content to stay in one place long. Correct. A lot of the other music that I consider some of my favorite, I consider my favorites because I read those guys mentioning them in interviews. I had never heard of Ultravox until I saw them mentioned in an interview with Neil, and I thought, what's that all about? And Ultravox is one of my favorite bands now. Something similar happened later with other artists, where before the internet, you would read interviews in magazines, and if they happened to mention another artist, you'd go and seek them out. That was part of what happened. But they were always trying to move forward, and I think very rightly so, and naturally for Geddy and Alex, they are trying to progress forward. They're trying to, initially they're wanting to give people some nostalgia because there's no new album, so they're wanting to expose them to the new face back there. And what they do going forward, I will always support them because they've, like both of us have said in this segment, they have earned that right. They have earned the right to do what they want to on their own terms. And not mainly, but I'm sure at least partly because we as a fan base have allowed them that luxury.
Sure.
I have stuck through everything. There's only one Rush album that I never listened to on a regular basis because it never spoke to me, and it's one of your favorites. So that's what's great about Rush fandom. It's not the same for every fan. There are different entry points, and there are I know people who are Rush fans who begrudgingly accepted Neil, because they loved the first album so
That is
much.
another huge point. Neil is not the first drummer. He
Oh,
is the main drummer because he was with him for so long. John Rutsey was the first drummer. So
yep.
people are like, you can't be Rush without Neil. Well, they were without Neil in the first album. They were Rush without Neil on Rush, and there are people that'll argue with me. Well, that's disingenuous because Rush was a three. It was. Rush became the three of them. You're right,
Yeah.
and that's why they're called the Holy Triumvirate. That's why they are so amazing as the three. But it didn't start out that way. Their first Rush album did not have Neil. He wasn't on their radar at all. He was in J.R. Flood or some band like that. He wasn't
Yeah.
in Rush, and so, when people are like, I just can't believe they're doing this and putting a new drummer. Well, this will be the third drummer that Rush has had, not the second. It hasn't always been Neil. And I think that's a very important point. I do want to touch on something that does kind of bug me. It hadn't prevented me from going to the show. It is extraordinarily expensive to go see them on this tour.
Yeah. There's there'll be a Blu-ray release, and it'll be $40, and I can watch it in my living room and enjoy it that way.
And this is one of the things where we're a little different, is I'm going to see them, and we're not.
I just don't. I signed up for the pre-sale and got in line, and when I saw the prices, I was like, I don't have this much. I don't have it. Even if I desperately wanted to go, maybe we'll pick up tickets later if we, run into them or a deal or something. But
and one of the things I was going to say to you was, I think the ticket price shock because it was so well. Thank God for this. It was so well received, which is why they were adding dates and all this stuff. Right. That's great. But that also meant the ticket prices were just astoundingly awful. I think they've probably, for higher up seats and not right down at the front, they're probably lowering to the point now where it would be doable to get one of those,
Well, here in the Tampa Bay area, where I think they're doing 2 shows at the arena in Tampa, the seats worth sitting in were, I'm not even going to say, they were more than I could afford. If it had been even 70% of what they were asking, I might have talked myself into it. But man, I just kept falling back on, I've seen them a bunch.
Yeah.
There'll be a high quality, high definition Blu-ray release that I can enjoy it at home, fully polished and edited, however they wanted to present it, because they always do that stuff.
Sure. I also think it's pretty interesting the way they're doing their sets. They're learning apparently about 40 songs,
and they're going to mix it up.
And they're mixing it up. So, like, for example, they're playing 4 nights in Fort Worth, the 24th, 26th, 28th, and 30th of June. I'm going on the 30th, so the last night that they're in Fort Worth here. And this is just kills me, because if I had the money, I would love to go to all 4 of them, because apparently the set list is going to differ each night. Not completely different, but they'll probably do what they did, where they have an A and B, add songs here, take away songs there, like they did on Clockwork Angels and things like that, and R40. But that's a fascinating way they're going to do it. They are going to cut it. Oh, they also got another, I don't know if you saw this, you probably did. They got a keyboard player, a second keyboard player. Yeah.
His name is escaping me at the
Lauren Gold.
Lauren Gold. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. I think I saw him with Chicago.
He played Chicago, played for the Who. He's amazing. And so that's awesome. But it just shows you, they're just like, you know what? We're going to have to alter the game a little bit to do this. And that's fine with me.
I watched an interview with Alex and Getty last week when they were announcing the European thing. It was a very nice, I can't remember exactly what the YouTube channel was. I apologize, but it was like a 40-minute conversation in which they revealed that they had both just gotten back from a wellness facility that helped Alex get over a lot of his health
problems. In Austria. Yeah, I remember that.
And they both feel very confident that they're up to the rigors of this. So,
well, and I'm going to tell you, I'm hopeful that Getty's voice is good, because I will give full candor. Rush can do no wrong with me, and I love everything Rush, but his voice was struggling a bit at the end of the last tour.
He
So
had some bad nights, but I mean, what is he now? 70
yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to take it for what it is.
something? Yeah,
It wouldn't near be enough to make me go, oh, I'm not going to see him, not at all. But I'm hoping he's his rest and things he's doing for his health will help keep his voice strong.
Well, the other thing too is this. I mean, I realize this is a mass media event and they got to play the hits for something like this. But as time goes by, I don't think the general fan base is going to mind if they suddenly come to the conclusion, you know what? Geddy can't sing Spirit of Radio anymore. Just as an example, he can, but I mean, what if it was something that was very high and challenging, and they just
Hemispheres.
shove into what if they do all of Clockwork Angels,
right?
which is a more recently written piece,
Right.
probably more in line with what he's capable of doing now. Geddy can do whatever he wants to, and I will happily support him because he's Geddy Lee.
Right.
But I don't think that, for a while there, cast your mind back to the Closer to the Heart controversy on the Vapor Trails tour. They didn't play that song through the entire touring cycle, and they got to Brazil and were told, you have to play that song. You have to play that song. So they had to learn it. They had to relearn it real quick, and that's why it's on the Brazil video. But they never played it at any of the other dates on that run, which is,
Well, you are an entertainer, and you go to different venues and different countries, and different songs mean more to people there. And I think that's fair. You hadn't never been to South Africa or South America. You're here, and the song that everybody sings and plays is Closer to the Heart. Well, then you should probably pull out Closer to the Heart if you can and sing that there. That's the way.
Yeah, that was an amazing tour and an amazing show. I'm glad they had the cameras there to capture that. Listening to that Brazilian crowd sing along with YYZ was just.
Oh yeah, I showed my wife that. My wife doesn't care. She's seen Rush one time with me. She thought they were great. They sound just like the album. They're fantastic, but she was ready to go. We didn't go because I'm not ever leaving a Rush show early. But she could have left at intermission and been fine. Not me.
No,
but they are just so astoundingly good live, and to see that. And I showed her the video of them singing YYZ, and I showed another friend of mine. I can't remember who it was. YYZ, and they're like, "That's an instrumental," and I'm like, "Yeah, they're singing the instrumental." And I was like, "Oh my god!" Their fandom down there is fanatical. If they love you, they love you.
Well, they're that way with a number of different bands. Iron Maiden is worshipped down there. I mean,
they are.
Yeah. Iron Maiden sells out all the biggest football stadiums when they go there.
So you said you saw them 21 times. I saw them 23 times because I saw them multiple times on each tour. What was your favorite tour of theirs that you saw?
There's so many highlights. Well, the R40 tour was a love letter to people like me.
Yep.
It really, really, truly was. To see Neil seated behind a replica of his original kit, I have to admit it made me emotional. Because you flash back to those earlier years, and they played Jacob's Ladder, which is one of my top tier songs.
Love Jacob's Ladder.
It was very emotional. I mean, I think second only to probably the Hemispheres show that I saw.
Okay.
There's a story behind that I'll tell briefly. I was living in Topeka, Kansas at the time. And it was announced they were coming to town, and I heard it in shop class one day, and I said, "Rush coming here? Really? Why?" Because Kansas City's only 60 miles away, but they were coming. It was true. So I told my mom, and at that time I was completely obsessed with Rush. It was a hardcore obsession. It was before I was even in a band playing it. I was just nuts for Rush, and she said, "Well, the only way you go is if I go with you." And I said, "Great, I'll buy the tickets." So I bought the tickets and she went, and she hated it.
Mhm.
absolutely. This is my little 4'10" German Irish mother, Sandy. She's the one that when I was a kid, my first musical taste came from her. The Beatles, Elton John, the Carpenters, Johnny Mathis, all of that melodic stuff. That's kind of
Mhm.
why Myth of Logic has a lot of melodic content
Mhm.
just about everywhere you turn, because that's at my heart.
That's your
Um,
wheelhouse.
she thought I was going to go there and get drunk and do a bunch of drugs and get into trouble. I never was that kid. I was all about the music, and we went. It was general admission, but we selected seats upstairs. If you
Right.
see the poster that was inside the Hemispheres program with the
Uh-huh.
lights coming down, that
Uh-huh.
was our view. That's
Oh,
where we
that's
saw them
awesome.
from. Was that exact view?
That's awesome.
Um, but there was an incident coming in, and you can look this up online. There was like $3,000 worth of damage done to the facility because it was general admission. It was in the middle of winter. It was freezing outside. Very similar to the thing that happened in Cincinnati with the Who, and it was very scary. I put my arms around my mother, held her to my chest, and locked my hands to keep her from being crushed by all the people on all
Oh
sides.
my
So it was
goodness.
scary getting in there. Once we were inside, we were okay. It wasn't any
Right.
incident, but the doors got glass broken and things were messed up, and it was kind
Wow.
of a scandal at the time. But that show was just awesome. And another sidebar, the two opening acts for that show, well, there was one opening act. I'm thinking of another show. I think the opening act for that was a band called Grand Max from Kansas City. And
Okay.
there's another show that I saw Grand Max with. They opened for a band called Missouri, of all things. A really good band. Really good band. They had a hit with a song called Moving On. Missouri was the headliner. Grand Max was the middle act, and the opening act on that bill was a band called Bluebeard, who later became Alchemy, which played very large in my own development
Yeah.
later on.
You and I've
So
talked about alchemy. Yeah.
yeah, and I want to talk about Alchemy at length on
We
some
will.
future show. Yeah,
We will on another episode.
on another episode. But
Well, you mentioned something about
for right
your
now,
emotion. Go ahead.
yeah, let me finish up real quick on this. It'll be the Hemispheres followed by the R40. Those are, I mean, every Rush show has its own moments, and I want to throw it back to you and ask you what your favorite shows out of the 23 that you saw were.
I have two, and the first was the very first time I ever saw them, which
Mhm.
was the Roll the Bones tour. My dad, I live in Odessa, which is way out in West Texas. The last time they were here was like 1986 or somewhere, like the Grace Under Pressure tour, and I was too young and didn't know who they were. When I finally got to know who they were, the closest they were coming was Dallas on that tour. They actually ended up coming on the second leg of that tour to Lubbock, and I went and saw them again in Lubbock, but I didn't know they were going to do that at the time.
I
So they
saw
were
that
playing.
tour twice too.
Yep. So they were playing on a Sunday night in at Reunion Arena in Dallas, and my dad, who I loved so dearly, and I miss him so much, he took me and my brother and our bass player Jason Blackburn and drove us on Sunday all the way to Dallas, which is about a 6-hour drive, so that we could see them. And he went and saw them too, and he liked them. By the way, he wasn't a fan, but he thought they were very good. You know, he was like, "Wow, they were really good." But he saw them, and then so we wouldn't miss school. We all slept, and he drove us all the way back in the same night.
Wow.
So that because of my connection with him and it being my first time to see them, and it was like there are my gods on the
Hmm.
stage. That is a pretty unbeatable feeling. The second tour is, and this is purely, I loved the tour, but this is selfishly personal. Was Clockwork Angels, because I'm all over the DVD for Clockwork Angels because
Oh,
because I was
cool.
in they filmed the Dallas Clockwork Angels for the DVD. I was on the second row center,
Mhm.
and when the lights went down, the front row got up and moved to the barrier, so really became the front row. So I had an unimpeded view right in front of them, and you'll see me many times. The camera pans by me. There I am in my fly by night Rush jersey with a Rush hat, and I'm just yelling and screaming. And there's even a very very brief clip of me air drumming to Grand Designs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I have that as a catalog, a forever catalog of an archival footage of my concert with them.
That is awesome.
So that is
What
a
great
very,
story.
very personal to me,
Oh,
and
man.
love that. You were speaking of emotion and how it was emotional for you to see his kit.
Yeah,
One of the
yeah.
things that I'm really looking forward to and kind of nervous about this one is they're billing this also as a tribute to my hero.
Right.
It's a tribute to Neil. So I'm really curious how they're going to handle that. What are they going to do that makes it a tribute to him? Knowing them, they'll do it well and they'll do it big. And
Yeah.
I'm a very emotional person. I get really emotional, so I have a feeling I'm going to need some tissues when I'm there when I'm there that night.
You
seeing
probably
what
won't be the only one. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I think there's going to be plenty of us, that are really, really, it's really in our, he's the reason that I started playing. And anyone who will watch me play and hear me play will hear a lot of him in my playing. And that is because he is my music, especially he's my hero in life because of the way he was and the way he lived life. But he's
Right.
also my drumming hero and my inspiration. And so, yeah, it's going to be quite an emotional evening, I believe, in June when I go see them. I'm looking forward to it, though. I'm telling you what, I've never. It's been a long time since I've looked towards a concert with as much fervor as I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be great. So I actually hope for you that you're able to at the last minute go, you know what, there's some tickets. They're affordable. Let's go give them. Let's go see them. I hope you're able to do that.
It's something similar happened. We weren't going to go to R40. We'd pretty much made up our minds. We'd seen them enough times, and yeah. And then the rumors started to circulate about it really being the last tour. And I have a very specific memory of being in the pool in our backyard one day with my wife, and I just said, you know what, screw it, let's do it up. So we didn't just go find tickets on StubHub. We got tickets and a hotel room, and we did Tampa, even though Tampa's like 15 or 20 miles. It's not far. It's basically over the bridge from us.
Right.
With light traffic, we can be at the arena in half an hour. So it's.
But you made a spectacle of it. Let's go do this right.
Yeah, and I'm so glad we did because it was the last time they were here on the last tour, and so I have the memories of that show. Some of it was very funny. I believe Alex made a mistake during Xanadu, the beginning long section. I think he came in early or something. If you look it up online, you'll find Neil flashing him a dirty look because he comes in at the wrong moment. But
that's interesting.
Talking about Rush stories, I have another real good one, and it's also on the Signals tour. Duff and I were sitting on the stage right side, which is Alex's side of the stage,
right?
And we were not extreme side. We were kind of at a diagonal, and there's a space in Neil's drum kit where you can really see his face from that angle.
Right.
And they came out, they opened up with Spirit of Radio, and Geddy sang everyone likes to believe in the spirit of baseball. He was the whole thing.
He was hamming it up.
They were having a great time, and Alex was doing his Alex thing through most of the song. And during one of the middle sections where I think it's the part where Neil is just hitting the kick drum before he comes in with the other thing, Alex came right up to him and he's facing him, and Neil is trying to keep the Neil face on, and he's very stone faced, and he's sitting there playing along, and Alex is facing him, and Duff and I are both looking at Neil, looking at Alex, and Neil looks at him and he goes, "F you." And Duff and I both saw it at the same moment. Said, "Did you see what he did?"
He said "F you" to Alex.
F you, yeah. It was,
but that's so great about them. I just and over time, seeing them as many times as we saw them, you can't help but see what brothers and family they were. I mean, it was
Hmm.
just that is another thing that is so very unique about them. They were more, and I don't know if you've seen the video. You probably have, where they met at the hunting lodge for dinner one
Oh,
night.
I love that. I
Dude,
love that. The long version of
if
that is
that doesn't
so
show you
funny.
how much they loved each other and how close they were to each other, I don't know what to say to you, and I don't know what to
Yeah.
do for you. I mean, that just made you realize, God, they are family. They just
Yeah.
absolutely love each other. And
The long version of that bit
the
is
dinner,
it's
yeah,
like 14 or 15 minutes and it's
it's marvelous.
hysterical.
I can watch
Uh
it over and over again. That's
yeah.
another thing I've always loved about them. I hope they don't lose that on this tour. I know they're making this a tribute to Neil, so there's going to be some emotion. They have always been so damn good at not taking themselves seriously at all. Like,
Yeah.
I show people the tour when they're the gefilte where they're
The
listening,
gefilte. Yeah.
and I just love this. Sometimes I've told people this, and they're like, "Oh my God, I never realized that." When Neil is O'Malley, right, and they're hitting the gefilte and it's making all these different versions of Spirit of Radio, the one that comes on that makes Neil do this is them. It's their
Yep.
actual version. And they're done, and he's like, "Hold on, I think we got something here." And Neil goes, "It sounds like a bunch of crap." And he goes, "Yes, but people love crap." I
Sometimes
just I
sometimes
just
people love
love
crap.
how they don't give a crap. They're just like, yeah, Neil. When our version comes on, that's when you're like doing this. Like, how awful is that? You know. I just love how they always took the piss out of themselves. They didn't care. You know, they didn't
Yeah.
take themselves seriously, and they didn't
Well,
expect you to. You know,
yeah. That
and
was
I
one of
just
the
love
great things
that.
about them.
Love that
They
about them.
to the grander world they seemed kind of humorless, but we as fans know that they were anything but.
That could not be more incorrect. You're right
Yeah.
that to the grander world they seemed humorless. That could not be a bigger misconception, you know. And
Yeah.
I just love the fact that they just always, you know, just making fun of themselves. You know, I just think it was, I think it was great. And those videos to this day are hilarious to watch. I mean, they're just so
There's a
funny.
life lesson in there. There is a life lesson in there. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Oh, heck
Take
no. Yeah,
take your work seriously, but don't
sure.
take yourself seriously.
Absolutely. And they were masters of that. And hopefully, and I think I can tell from the few videos they've already released with Annika, they haven't lost that. Like, I'm Getty Lee, and then Annika said, and I'm Alex Lifeson, and Alex goes,
Yeah.
and I'm Annika Niles. There you go. You haven't lost it. You haven't lost
No.
any of it. You know, I love that
Well,
about them.
I don't know him, but apparently, if you hang around with Alex Lifeson, that's what I do know a little bit. An old dear friend of mine, Mark Case, he used to work at Gibson Guitars, and he got to meet and work with Alex several times when he was doing signature stuff. One of Mark's jobs was to wrangle artists that were coming in to sign instruments for custom shop production and whatnot.
Sure.
And he got to interact with Alex twice. Matter of fact, one of my prized possessions, I have this framed up at my shop. I don't know if I've showed it to you. It's a piece of yellow legal pad that Alex sat doodling on.
Oh, that's cool.
He signed his name at the top, and you can see that. Okay, I know how to sign my name. I'm just going to doodle, and he doodled all over it. He also grabbed me some guitar picks. They met up with the band in Tulsa when they were doing pre-production for the R40 tour. I think
That's
it
where they
was.
started R40. So that's
Yeah,
probably
and they delivered Alex his double neck, his signature double neck, and he signed a bunch of them at that point too. And I've got an all access sound check pass.
that's cool.
The ones that were given out to the band and close people. I mean, find another one; they're not out there.
Right.
Mark kept that and gave it to me, and my wife arranged it all in this wonderful shadow box that I have hanging up at the shop.
My pride and joy, and people probably sitting here can't see it, but where I'm pointing, that is Neil Peart's sticks from the encore at Red Rocks on the Snakes and Arrows tour. And the way I came across those, I've never seen them at Red Rocks. I wish I had. And I think I may have told you this. It'll be a brief story. I was coming back from Cancun one time on the year, whatever tour that was, whatever year that tour was. I sat the entire time in this flight, and as we're about to land in Dallas, the guy next to me pulls out a book, and it's a Snakes and Arrows tour book, and I'm like, "Oh my God, you're at Snakes and Arrows?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm the electrician on the tour. His name is Randy Garrett. I'm still friends with him on Facebook. Great dude.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we started talking. He was on his way to Calgary for the start of the second half of the tour. And I said, "Oh, I'm seeing him in 2 weeks in Dallas." And he gave me his phone number. And I gave him mine, and he's like, "I'll try to get in touch with you, and we'll see if I can't get you anything, and I'll see you in Dallas." I did not expect anything from him. I just
Mm-hmm.
really was like, "Oh yeah." So I'm in Dallas in line to get merch, and I get a phone call, and it's him, and he's like, "Hey, where are you here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in line." He goes, "Get out of line and come to the front of the stage right now." And I did. And he had those sticks, and he had asked Neil, instead of just setting them down, "I have a friend. Can I have a pair of sticks?" So when Neil did his thing where he ran off after the encore at Red Rocks, he took those and just gave them to Randy.
Mm-hmm.
And so those sticks are his sticks that he used at the Red Rocks. He also gave me over there. There's a pick that's Alex's that he got from Alex that he gave to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then right there is a signature of Geddy Lee that my brother got for me when he ran into him in Las Vegas. So I have something right there. I have something personal from all three of them. So that right there is a priceless area of my wall. So, but as you can see, they mean a ton to me. They mean the world to me. So
I have the Alex stuff, and
I need to see. You need to show me the doodles and his signature. I would love to see that. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool because I mean he doodled on it and then threw it in the trash, and Mark knew that. Mark, I've known Mark a long time. He knew what kind of Rush fan I was, and he thought to grab it, which was very thoughtful.
That is very cool.
And,
that's very
cool. And then I got all 3 colored of guitar picks from the tour, and I framed it with there's also an ad for one of the guitars. The 2 guitars that he was doing on that tour, I believe, was a Les Paul Access, an Alex Lifeson Les Paul Access, and then the other one was the double neck. And those were the 2 times, I think I'm remembering this right, when Mark had to liaise with him for the company to make sure he had everything he needed and go here, sign this, and all that sort of jazz. He had done it for a number of artists. I think he interacted with Billy Gibbons in the same way, and a number of other artists when they would visit to do their signature stuff. But
so the tour is going to happen, and then how do you feel? I think I know how you feel, but just for the purposes of posterity for the show we're doing here, this little conversation we're having, what do you think about the possibility of new music going forward?
I'm open to anything, and as a Rush fan, we need to be open to anything, because if I'd have told you 2 years ago they were going to go out on tour without Neil, I mean, I think most people would have said, "Nah." Well, it's happening, so like it or not, it's coming. Look, whatever it is, however it comes out, whatever Alex and Geddy do, it's going to be worth having. It's going to be worth listening to, and it's going to be worth enjoying. And I think Annika is a fine addition to the whole thing. I really think, from what I've heard them say in interviews and such, and little things that what little she's said, which is not much.
No, she doesn't speak that.
No, she doesn't.
Kind of like Neil.
Yeah.
Lie. He spoke a bunch in his element. Yeah.
I think they have selected her with a long-term plan in mind, to be honest with you. It just seems like it feels that way, that they haven't just brought in a session person. There are a number of other drummers that people said, well, why didn't they go get this guy, or why didn't they go get that guy, or whoever. All of the names that people would call out had other things going. Not that she doesn't. She's got plenty of other things going. But
quite busy. But when Rush calls, you take that phone call.
Yeah,
trust me.
I think they have a long-term kind of idea for what they're going to do. That's just my impression. So,
well, I'm super excited to see if they have a new Rush album. I will support it wholeheartedly. I'm super excited to see what they would do with her and see what kind of flair they would. How would it alter their sound, or would it alter their sound, or would she sound kind of just like what Neil did, or would she? I'm so curious about it. I think it's going to be fascinating to watch unfold.
I can foresee it being pretty cool, honestly.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, think about it. When's the last time that Alex and Geddy wrote an album together?
Right.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So guys like that don't just stop writing. I'm sure they've both got a backlog of material. I heard Geddy slip in an interview that he had been writing some lyrics.
Oh, so, I didn't see that. I
you know,
didn't see or hear that. Then when did he
yeah,
do that? Was that
it
recent?
was that it was that same interview that I was referencing earlier where they
That
talked
long
about
40-minute one? Okay.
going to the wellness facility, and it's
Well,
a
he
really
got a
good.
task ahead of him writing
Yeah.
lyrics in place of Neil, the
Well,
supreme
I,
lyricist.
I think if anybody can, it would be Getty because,
Yeah.
and who's to say that maybe Carrie isn't in possession of a whole bunch of notebooks of Neil's that she might
True.
pass on to Getty and say, here, these were his
Stuff he worked
notebooks,
on.
because he was always keeping notes on things.
You're right.
We could possibly see another Rush album with some lyrics written by Neil Peart.
That would be amazing. That would be
We don't
amazing.
know, and that's one of the
No, we don't.
That's one of the beautiful things about Rush. You just don't know.
That's right.
What is the most excellent? What is the most excellent thing I can do today?
Oh,
We
what a
don't
great-
know. We don't know yet. So
I love
yeah.
that line from him. What is the most excellent thing I can do today? Is this just what a way to live? What a creed to live by.
Those are marching orders, I feel.
Oh yeah. That and the sign on those, I love this, from the Roll the Bones tour book, where he saw the sign in the studio that said, individually we are an ass, but together we are a genius. Just how absolutely perfect was that? I mean, I'm just like,
wonderful.
Oh my God. What an encapsulation for everything as
you were talking about that tour earlier, and I too saw it twice. And for similar reasons, the first time they came in the area was Kansas City, which was 60 miles away, and I went with Mr. Big opening. And then the second time they came around, they came to Topeka and played the arena, the newer arena there, the Expo Center, also with Mr. Big. So I saw that tour in its entirety twice.
So what you did was you saw that twice on the same leg. I saw the two different legs because the first leg was Primus opened for them. And then the second leg was Mr. Big. I saw Primus open for them in Dallas, and then Mr. Big opened for him in Lubbock. So they had two completely separate legs of that tour.
That's unusual that they would play two venues that close to each other on the same leg.
Yeah, it is weird.
But I'm told, I recently was reading an article about, Led Zeppelin. Apparently they once played two venues in two consecutive nights that were 10 miles apart from each other.
Really?
Yeah, and the crew was a little upset about it.
Pack it all down, move it 10 miles
really?
that way,
10 miles,
set it all back
really?
up. Well. Hey, if the venue would have you and you're making money doing it, then why not?
Well, to summarize,
or just stay in that venue for 2 nights if you're gonna move 10 miles down the road. That's hilarious. Well, this has been a fascinating discussion.
I think we're both in agreement that it's an exciting thing.
It is.
I think we're both in agreement that if anybody has anything negative to say about it, they should keep it to themselves. But that's true about life in general. But
sure,
for the purposes of our conversation, we're both pleased with
one of your things you say that is one of my favorite things in the world. Be kind.
Just
be kind.
Yeah,
be kind to one another. You don't have to be good. Be good to one another. You don't have to. Don't say something if you don't have something good to say or kind to say. Just shush. It's easy to just shh.
If you want to have your Tourette's moment, hang up the phone and put away your laptop and, and have your Tourette's moment and do it in private. Exactly. So anyway, well, Chris, this has been fun. Yeah. I think we're planning on doing this regularly.
We are.
With a bunch of different topics we're talking about. Yeah. So a
lot more to deal with Rush as we go down the line. We have a lot of cool things playing with them and other stuff, but a lot of cool things playing with them. So
but we have both of us have wildly varying musical things to talk about, and other things as well, not just music. So I think it's going to be fun. So I hope everyone has enjoyed this first installment of Long Tracks and Tall Tales. I have been your host, Scott G. Davis. My compadre is Chris Clark. Look him up. He does fantastic work all over the internet, over at Progressive Voyages and other places. So that's all we've got for today's topic. Any final words, Chris?
No, man, I've just enjoyed this, and I've really enjoyed becoming your friend. And it's an honor to know you, and I'm excited to continue to do this because this is a lot of fun. I hope people get as much out of it as I know you and I get out of it.
Oh yeah, it just occurred to me at a certain point, our discussions really should be,
Right.
I
Yeah,
get
just
such a
come
charge out
along
of
and
listening.
listen to us and talk
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So
We do this
seek-
all the time, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's recording or not. We do this all the time.
So, folks, seek us out on the internet at our various Facebooks and Instagrams and whatnot. Myself, Myth of Logic, and also Granville Guitars, which is my day job. And there'll be more coming in the very near future. So, until we meet again, be good to one another.